parents spent my entire education fund on golden son's wedding, who already graduated college, because they immediately assumed that nothing good can come out of me, but I'm doing way better than their golden son now, who just abandoned them for his family, so they now want to get in contact because they realize they invested in the wrong son. So a few days ago, my parents came to visit me, but I had a huge fight with them. And now my girlfriend is giving me a hard time about it. For context, my parents and I have a very strained relationship. And for the past few years, we've barely even spoken to each other apart from our family gatherings and stuff. This is mostly because of their preferential treatment of my brother. They have always put him on a pedestal and treated me like nothing. It's nothing recent. It's always been like this since we were kids, and I always resented my brother for it. But as I grew up, I realized that it was equally my parents' fault for always siding with him, prioritizing him, and treating me especially badly about 7 years ago when they told me that they didn't have the money to pay for me to go to law school, and I would have to arrange something for myself because they had blown my entire education fund on my brother's wedding. I was 19 at the time. I had taken a gap year so I could make up my mind about what I wanted to do in the future. And earlier that year, my brother had gotten married. Later on, when I told my parents that I wanted to go to law school and become a lawyer, they told me that they didn't have the money for that, and whatever I wanted to do, I would have to arrange it for myself because all the money that they had been setting aside for my brother and my education, they had blown it all on his wedding. I was not even surprised because honestly, it had been a huge extravagant affair. And even then, I had been very confused as to where they were getting the money from because my parents are pretty much middle-class folk and nobody in our family has ever gotten married like that with such pomp and show. But the fact that they had allowed my brother to go to college, paid for him, and then when it was my turn, they were very casually just telling me that they had blown all the money. It just did not sit right with me. On top of that, they even had the audacity to say to me that because I had taken a gap year, they believed that I was not serious about my education and that's why they had spent all the money. It was obviously just an excuse to let them feel less guilty about what they had done. We got into a terrible fight, so I left home. But thankfully, I had my uncle, my dad's older brother, who helped me take out a student loan, and that's how I was able to go to college. I got my bachelor's degree in political science, and then I took the LSATs, got accepted into a decent law school, passed the bar exam last year. And right now, I'm working in a law firm that belongs to my friend's dad. He's a guy I met in law school itself, and we really hit it off. So introduced me to his dad, and now the both of us work together under his father. We get paid a reasonable amount as well, and life is pretty good for me right now. Past few years were difficult. I had to work really hard, be it at my education or at my jobs because I had to support myself. Since the student loan did not cover every aspect of my life, I'm very grateful that I had my uncle because he helped me out a great deal, not just financially, but also emotionally. For the first few years after I left home, I didn't have any contact with my parents or the rest of my family at all. But then, one of my cousins got married 3 years after I left home and I attended that wedding, and that's how I started speaking to everybody in the family once again. My parents were also present at that wedding and I had to be nice to them, or at least civil on the surface, because I did not want the rest of the family to get to know about the drama that was ongoing between us. So that's how we ended up being civil to each other at family gatherings, but that was it. We did not have any contact on more than a superficial level and on a personal level. We were just as attached. However, I did hear from my uncle about all the gossip about my family, and I heard that a couple of months ago, my brother had cut my parents off. Apparently, my parents got into a fight with his wife while she was pregnant and she was very upset, so she decided to tell my brother that she was not going to speak to my family anymore. And so for his wife, my brother stopped speaking to his family as well, and they haven't been on talking terms for quite some time now. But I didn't think it had anything to do with me until recently when they came over to my place to apologize to me and say that they wanted to make up for lost time. And throughout the time they spent here at home, they just kept ranting about how they had invested in the wrong son. They did apologize in the beginning, and I thought that maybe they were finally coming to their senses. But as the evening went on, I realized that they were only here because my brother had abandoned them in favor of his family. If that hadn't happened, they wouldn't have felt sorry about anything that they had done to me either. So by the end of the evening, I told them that I was glad they had realized their mistake, but I still do not want any contact with them, and I think it's better for us to stay apart. They tried to argue, but I told them that I didn't have the energy for that, and then they left. Afterwards, when I told my girlfriend about the entire situation, she told me that I should give them a chance. And when I told her that I'm not going to be foolish enough to do that, she told me that I was being too rigid and I was going to regret this, so we got into a fight about it. And now she's being very cold and weird about it, and she's given me a hard time for no reason. It's making me feel like maybe I'm in the wrong here and that maybe I should forgive my parents. AITA for not welcoming my parents back into my life? Update 1. Hi. Thank you to everybody who responded to my post. So for everyone who's asking whether my girlfriend is aware of everything that has happened in the past or not, yes, she definitely is aware of it. We've been together for the past 3 years, and I have told her several times in great detail how much I do not get along with my parents. She knows that they had always betrayed me, treated me badly, and preferred my brother over me all the time. And that's why I was actually very shocked when I told her about what had happened. And she told me that I should give them a chance because after all, even now, they were only here just because my brother had abandoned his parents in favor of his wife. I even tried to get her to see it. I told her several times that if that had not happened, they would not have been here feeling sorry for themselves. And yes, they might have apologized to me when they came over, but at the end of the day, they spent most of the evening talking about my brother. So it was very clear that they were more resentful of him, and they were only here to spite him in a way. On top of that, I don't approve of the way they said that they had invested in the wrong son. We are not schemes, for God's sake. We are children, and I don't even understand where this whole concept of investing in a child comes from in their head. If they were good parents, they would have invested in both of us equally. They would have tried to make us good kids, but instead, they put all their eggs in one basket thinking that my brother was the golden child and that's why they could just ignore me and get away with it. But now, they're realizing their mistake, and that's the only reason they are here. They're not here because they genuinely feel sorry for everything that they've done. They are not here out of guilt. They came to me because they had no other son to rely on for the rest of their lives, and I really just don't understand how she doesn't get that. She doesn't have any siblings. She's an only child and has always been adored by her parents. She and her parents have a pretty good relationship. So in the beginning, I never thought that she would be able to understand what I have been through in my life with my family. But so far, she's always been very sympathetic whenever I told her about my parents and my brother and stuff. Even though I did not talk about him in my previous post, he was not a good guy either. He knew that he was the golden child for our parents and he took advantage of that. He was more spoiled than any other kid I knew. He always got whatever he asked for and he bullied me a lot. So he did not make my life easier either, and my parents never seemed to care or even notice. Until recently, my girlfriend had always been very sympathetic to me and very understanding of all my troubles. So even this time, I had expected her to be the same way. That's why I told her all about the visit, and you guys can understand why I was so shocked when she did not seem to agree. That was the only reason why I even had second thoughts about what I had done and decided to post because I was very confused. But after going through the comments, I guess I realized I was just panicking for no reason. I don't have to forgive my parents and let them back into my life if I don't want to. Not even if my girlfriend wants me to do that. I respect the fact that she has her own opinion, and she's entitled to believe what she wants to, but I'm not going to live by her rules. She hasn't had to go through what I have had to, so she has no idea exactly how bad it feels. Of course, it's easy to sympathize, but she can't exactly put herself in my shoes and now how difficult it had been for me for so many years. So now, if she doesn't want to talk to me about this, I'm completely fine with that as well. It's not like I don't miss her. It has been a couple of days since we last spoke and since the fight. She hasn't texted me or anything. I do miss her, but I'm not going to go back on my word, and I'm not going to go against what I believe is right. If that makes her upset, tough luck. There's really nothing that I can do about it. She really needs to understand where I'm coming from. And if she can't do that, then I guess we are better off staying away from each other. It's going to be difficult, but it has to be done. Update 2. Hi. So a few days ago, I posted an update here saying that I might break up with my girlfriend if she doesn't reach out to me soon. And today, thankfully, she did reach out to me. So I don't think we're going to have to break up, and I'm really thankful for that because I honestly love her. We have been together for the past 3 years and I really don't want to throw this over a fight regarding my parents of all people. I think they've ruined enough of my life anyway. I don't want them to control any more of it. You guys might have guessed that we are not breaking up anymore. We have managed to patch things up. She reached out to me today, called me in the morning, and said that she really wanted to meet me for lunch. And we did meet, and she instantly started telling me that she was really sorry about everything. She told me that she had spoken to her parents about whatever I had been put through and how my parents had come back to apologize recently and how she had picked a fight with me since I did not forgive them and they were horrified. So her parents knew that I didn't have a good relationship with my family, but they didn't exactly know the details of it. So when she told them exactly what had gone down, they were horrified and they told her that she was seriously messing this up. They explained to her that as parents, what my parents had done was unforgivable, and it was completely fine that I had decided not to forgive them and not allow them back into my life, especially given the fact that even when they had come over, they were only talking about my brother and his abandonment of them. They basically told her the same things that I had said, but they were able to explain it to her in a way that she found herself in empathizing with me, and that's why she decided to reach out to me and apologize. When I had explained these things to her, we had been arguing, so I guess it didn't go through as well as it was supposed to. But I was just glad that somebody was able to explain it to her. She apologized to me. I accepted it. We decided to move past this with maturity and dignity. I think this has been one of the biggest fights that we have ever had in the course of our relationship. And I think it was important to have this as well because it really tested our relationship and I guess we passed. But anyway, I'm just really happy that we were able to sort things out now. Apart from the whole thing with my girlfriend, I also discussed this with my uncle and I wanted to know his opinion on it. And he told me that I had done the right thing because in all honesty, he did not believe even for a second that my parents could prioritize anybody apart from my brother. Even this little stand that they had pulled with me, it was probably because they were scared of the future. Now that my brother was not speaking to them and he was supposed to be their retirement fund or something, after all, they had invested all their money, so they probably expected a return on that investment as well. And if I had decided to forgive them, then they probably would have started treating me like an investment expecting a return at some point. But the only difference was that in me, they had not invested anything at all. I went to public school. They did the bare minimum for me when I was growing up and I mostly received everything secondhand from my brother. So really, they hardly had to spend any sort of money on me, and it would be foolish of me to let them get away with it and forgive them and pretend that everything was fine, especially when they were not even really sorry. My uncle also told me that they had reached out to him knowing that my uncle and I have a good relationship and had told him to try and talk to me, so I would agree to give them a chance. But my uncle had also told them that he was not getting involved in any of this. For the past 6 years, my uncle has been the only person who knows all about the situation in the family and has always been by my side. In the beginning, he had even tried to convince my parents to help me out, but they hadn't listened to him. And now, look how the tables have turned. I'm actually pretty proud of myself for achieving everything that I have without even an iota of help from my parents, be it financial or emotional or whatever. It has been almost 9 days since they reached out to me, and after that, they haven't tried to talk to me any further. I hope that they keep it that way because I really don't want to engage with them, and I don't want to waste my time. I'm finally doing well in my life. All my hard work has paid off. I have a good job. I have a lovely partner, and as for family, at least I have my uncle, and I'm planning on proposing to my girlfriend in a few months. So I guess I'll have my in-laws also. Basically, things are going well for me, so I don't want them to come into my life and screw it all up. Because I'm pretty sure that if I somehow do allow them to come back, that's exactly what's going to happen. Update 3. So something crazy has happened. In my last update, which was just 5 days ago, I had spoken in the end about how I planned on proposing to my girlfriend in the next few months. I wanted to buy a ring, plan something properly, and have a whole thing. I have been thinking about it for quite some time because we have been together for a considerable amount of time. I also have a nice apartment for myself now, so we could even start living together after we get engaged. Before this, I've been living with roommates, so I couldn't exactly ask her to move in with me. But now I thought it was the right time, and it was only the whole fight about my parents that had made me rethink my decision for a while. But after we sorted things out, I decided that it was the right time, and I was just starting to prepare myself. But to my surprise, a couple of days ago, she was the one who ended up proposing to me. We were having one of our date nights. She had come over for a movie and stuff, and all of a sudden, she sends me to the kitchen to get some more wine. And when I come back to the living room, the lights are dimmed. She's on one knee and she's proposing. I don't even know how to put into words how emotional and insanely hyped I was at that point in time. Of course, I said yes, and I was actually pretty proud that my girlfriend had proposed to me because it's actually really not that common. Anyway, we told her parents, then I told my uncle. And then the next day, we decided to post it on social media. This weekend, we are having a party, and, of course, my parents decided to reach out to me once again. They're not very active on social media, and I posted this on Instagram. They don't even have accounts on that platform, but I'm guessing that some cousin or someone else from the family must have talked about it, and the news made it to my parents. So they called me up. I had never even blocked them, so that was quite easy. And as soon as I picked up, they put me on blast for not telling them about any of this, and they said that it was very embarrassing for them to be the last people to find out about my engagement in the family. And even if I was not keen on making amends with them, the least I could do was keep them in the loop about my life so they did not come off as looking foolish in front of other people in the family because this was a big deal. And when our relatives asked them about it, they had no idea and had to pretend like they had a clue what was going on. They hadn't even known that I had a girlfriend, nor had they ever met her, so they didn't even know her name, and it had just been very embarrassing for them. So they demanded that I introduce her to them, do something to fix the situation, and just keep up appearances, at least now. I was having a good time because I had just gotten engaged to my girlfriend and I was planning on getting married and I was flying on cloud 9. So the fact that they even had the audacity to demand something like this after never putting in an effort themselves even though I had never blocked them really annoyed me, as I said. All means of communication had been open to them for the past 6 years, so they could have picked any time to come to me, apologize to me, and try to make amends. Even though I was upset with them, I had always believed that maybe at some point, they would try to get back in touch with me and genuinely feel sorry for everything that they had put me through. It was pretty naive of me. I never ever did. I consider that they would probably only feel sorry when they lost the favor of their other favorite son. Anyway, my point is that even though I had never blocked them, they had never bothered to reach out to me, and now they wanted me to put up appearances and keep them involved in my life so that they did not come off looking foolish in front of other people. They really had some guts to ask me to do something like that, especially in that entitled tone that they took with me. I got really annoyed. I told them off and mentioned the same things that I spoke about above. And, of course, they had no reply to that. They just started saying that that was not the point and stuff like that, but it was clear they were just family, and they really had no actual defense. Then I told him that I was having an engagement party at the end of the week, and they were not supposed to show up because, very honestly, I don't care about them enough to even keep up appearances in front of the family anymore. I'm truly happy with my girlfriend, and as for family, I have her parents, and my uncle. I never considered my parents family anyway, and neither did they, I'm sure. They were very shocked at that statement and they tried to get me to take it back, but I told them that I was not going to feel apologetic for something that was true. After all, they had never bothered to apologize for their feelings, and it was true that they felt nothing towards me. They felt no sense of duty towards their youngest son, so now their youngest son doesn't feel any sense of duty towards his parents. It's tit for tat, and I think it's pretty fair. They tried to disagree, but this time, I finally hung up because I had done what I had to do. I had told them off one final time, and having said what I needed to say, I did not need to hear what they believed anymore. After that, I finally blocked them. And if I'm being honest, I think this was the closure that I needed. Even on the day that they had shown up at my house trying to apologize and stuff, I had shown them the door. But today, blocking them felt more satisfying than anything else. This time, also, I chose to talk to my girlfriend about what had happened because I really wanted to see her reaction. Thankfully, at this time, she told me that it was the right thing to do because after everything that they had put me through, they had no right to demand anything from me, let alone something like this, that I should fake my relationship with my parents and make it seem like everything was sunshine and rainbows when it really wasn't. And if they don't like it, it's really their own fault. They don't have anyone else that they can blame for it. I was really happy for her support, and that's all that matters to me at the moment. Anyway, we're going to have the engagement party at our house at the end of the week. And I think at that point in time, people in my family will finally find out about my relationship with my parents. So far, I had always kept it a secret because I really didn't feel like it was worth talking about. I did not want to create any drama in the family, but I'm pretty sure that when people see my brother and my parents are not present at my engagement party, then they are definitely going to have questions. But this time, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to dodge any questions and walk away from conversations that are bound to get awkward. I think it's about time that my family finds out what kind of people my brother and my parents really are. Update 4. Hi. So it's been a few days since the engagement party, and like I said, I did expect a lot of questions about why my brother and my parents were not going to be present. This time, I wanted to be completely honest about my relationship with them. And whenever anybody asked me about them, I just told them the truth. I knew that this was going to ruffle some feathers, and that it did. My uncle told me that after the party, a lot of people in the family stopped speaking to my parents, and my brother and my parents are furious at what I did, but I really don't care about that. Like I said at the end of my last update, I think it was about time that people found out, and I'm glad that they did. If they feel like I made them out to be the bad guys by telling people the truth, I think they need to realize that the problem is them, not me, and it's not like the entire family has cut them off. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have just chosen to be neutral and stay out of it. So why not focus on that? Why are they so focused on people who choose to cut them off? It's because they don't want to feel like the villains. They just want to feel like the victims all the time and make me out to be the bad guy for bringing all this up. Talking about my past with them gives them the perfect opportunity to play the victim. I think instead of being upset with me, they should actually be thankful that I gave them this opportunity. Anyway, what's done is done, and I'm glad that I spoke about whatever had happened in the past. It's not like they can change the facts. They can just lie about it and try to cover up. But I think people know who is more truthful. And in all honesty, I don't even care if people believe me or not. This feels like a huge load off my chest, and I have no regrets about what I did. Now I only want to look forward to planning my wedding, and since my fiancé is moving in with me in a couple of days, I'm gonna have my hands full with work either way.